thank you for that introduction. Yeah, very exciting. Very excited to be here. Welcome to the Chiliz and PSG panel talk. We'll be talking about how SportFi is reshaping the world of sports. As introduced, my name is Shin, and I am a sports announcer and sports reporter here in Korea, and I am joined by two incredible visionaries who are reshaping and redefining sports fandom using technology. So, Alex Dreyfus, founder and CEO of Chiliz, and Helgosson, head of Web3 and Metaverse at Paris Saint-Germain. Okay. So we're very excited to have you. There are so many things that I want to cover, but before we start, do you want to maybe say a quick hello to all of our audiences?
I'm going to start in French, maybe. I could say bonjour, because it's for Paris Saint-Germain. Thank you very much for allowing us to be here again this year. And I hope we're going to help you to understand a bit more what is SportFi and what is Chiliz as well, and of course, PSG.
Pleasure to be here. Helgosson from PSG. I head up Web3, Metaverse, gaming on chain, powered by AI. So my role is to navigate how we engage with the fan base, the men's team, the women's team, the academies. So that's my role, really.
Right, we'll delve into a little bit more about that later, but it's so nice to have you both here, and it's nice to have you back, Alex, because you were here for KBW 2023. Right?
Yeah, we've been here together, I think, even last year with Alex Del Piero, right?
That's very true. That's very true. And a year passed, and since then, Chiliz has been expanding its presence globally and especially in Korea, which I will get to later. But before we talk about all that progress that you're currently making, I think it's good to go back and just kind of look at the journey that you've been through. Because when you first started Chiliz, there were no fan tokens. There were no socios.com. Chiliz created the fan tokens, and Chiliz created its own blockchain, the Chiliz Chain, which now has become the home to an extremely exciting vertical called SportFi. So I think, yes.
That's the idea, actually. 6 years and a half ago, we created Chiliz. At that point, Chiliz was just a token. Now, fast forward, we are an ecosystem where you have more than 80 sports teams, including the K-League here. We work with football teams like Paris Saint-Germain, Tottenham Hotspurs, and many others. And our job is very simple. We don't want to change the world. We don't want to change the finance industry. We just want to be who we are today, which is the #1 sports and entertainment Web3 company in the world. And when we started, we invented this concept of fan tokens, which are not NFTs. They are fungible crypto assets that give you some vote and some right on the decision of the club. And that worked out pretty well. And now we are, I think, almost 300 people all over the world. And we are very big in Korea and some other countries in Asia, but Korea always has been key for us.
Right, right. So where is Chiliz now? You did briefly mention where you wanted to be the #1 fan tokens and to make not necessarily difference, but kind of change how the clubs are reacting with the fans, right? So where are you guys currently?
I think we are #1 today in what we do, which is indeed originally the fan tokens, but now we want to become #1 as a layer 1, which we are as an EVM layer 1, dedicated to sports and entertainment. So the main investment we are doing is in that space, is how we can help sports property like PSG and others to connect with their loyalty, with their fan base, how they can monetize them, how they can engage more. And we think that blockchain can help that because it helps people to be connected globally thanks to this decentralization.
Right, right. And of course you talked about these changes, right? And at the core of all these developments is technology, right? And so I think Chiliz were one of the very first to realize the synergy that can happen when technology and sports emerge, and they were definitely the first to act on it, making changes. And that is the mark of a true pioneer, which the term, I think, is not foreign to PSG as well, because PSG has always been at the forefront of change. An example is that PSG was the first football club to appoint the head of Web3 which is you, right? Hello.
That's right. I
Yeah.
think.
So
Yeah.
what does that job entail? I'm just curious.
So the head of Web3, one way to look at it is we also had, before I came in, head of lifestyle. And so we were a football club leading, we were the premier club in France, and we wanted to cross the bridge over into becoming a lifestyle. And I think PSG is the club of the new generation. Many clubs talk about how old they are. We talk about how young we are, and we talk about the future. So this role is an example of the club almost future-proofing the engagement, which is why we're here. So Korea is a massive market for us in all ways. Kang Lee, as you know, is one of our key players. And the way we look at it is we have more than 92% of our fan base is outside of France. 2012, we had 92% of the fan base inside of France. So in many countries, in our social channels, like Brazil and in other markets, we're super strong and actually bigger than we are in France. So this is a way for the club, and that's a part of the role, to engage not only brand communication that we're leading on in a Web 2 way, but also lead in a Web 3 way to brand engage, if you will. So, yeah.
And that's where actually blockchain, crypto in general is helpful. I'll take Korea as an example. As Par said, there is a very famous Korean players in Paris Saint-Germain. What can Korean fans do to get closer to their team or get closer to their players? Of course, you can follow on social media. That's a one-way relationship. You can, if you are lucky, go to Paris and watch a match. That's very limited, a few thousand a year maximum. But thanks to digital, and in our case, thanks to fan tokens, you can get a little bit closer. So when we created in 2019 the Paris Saint-Germain fan token, it gave the rights to fans all over the world to actually participate in some basic but fan-related decision. It gives the right to PSG fans here in the room today to actually win tickets to go and see their favorite team. So the whole point of the tokenization and the whole point of fan tokens, the whole point of Web3 is to give access to fans all over the world to their favorite brand. You could argue that meme coins are fan tokens for digital community. Well, PSG fan token is a fan token for PSG fans. It's more or less the same. It's just one has 100 million plus fan base. The other is a bit smaller, maybe more active for the time being. But the idea is that blockchain gives you this access that never existed before.
Right, because, and that's something that is really close to my heart, the sort of changing relationship of how the clubs treat the fans, because I am an avid football fan myself, and I made a career out of it, but never did I think that the clubs would actually value my input. I thought it was very much one way. I mean, as someone from PSG, do you sense that sort of change in how the clubs treat or engage with the fans?
Yes, so this is one part of the role and the signal for all of you, which is why, again, we're here, is that looking forward, being forward-looking, the next or the new generation of football fans, we simply need to engage not only in the traditional way, which we will continue to do, but also in a new way, in new channels, in virtual channels, and building a direct relationship. So if we can tokenize and engage offline activities and events and matches, right, and experiences, and online and on-chain, that data set we absolutely want to capture and make decisions on, but also to serve, be in the service of the fans, and to co-create and do things with our fan base in ways that we really couldn't really do before. Right. And so this is actually one of the key things that we want to explore also with Alex and his team moving forward.
And just talking about business of football, you know, the 4 pillars of revenue of football are mainly TV sponsorship, at least in Europe, ticketing, what we call match day, sponsoring, and then merchandising. The 5th pillar now is becoming more and more digital. But digital is the one and the only one who can eventually really grow globally. You cannot sell much more merchandise globally. You cannot sell more tickets for sure. TV sponsoring, it's already at a ceiling, at least in France. And sponsors, you cannot add much more logos on the jersey. So you do need to have an offer that is really global. And that's where what we do and what others are doing in the SportFi industry makes sense.
Right, right. I do want to talk a little bit more about the partnership between the two parties involved, Chiliz and PSG, because you guys go way back, right? PSG was the first club to partner with Chiliz to issue their fan tokens on socios.com, and that was 6 years ago when a cryptocurrency or blockchain hadn't really entered the public vocabulary. So it was very early and very innovative in every sense of the word. So, I mean, you have this history of collaborating and creating all these synergy. So if we look ahead and moving forward, how do you think your partnership will impact the relationship between sports and blockchain?
We go so back that at that time he didn't have gray hair and I had hair. That's how old our relationship started. So now the PSG was the first club to sign with us, and it was a lot of work at that time. We are talking 2018. So we signed that deal in August 2018, so long time ago. And you know, the most difficult one is always the first one. I think both companies managed to understand the needs of each other. They understood what we were trying to achieve. We understood that they needed to get closer to their fan base, to try to generate new revenue streams, and that worked pretty well. It did inspire a lot of other clubs all over the world. I think PSG today is still the #1 club in terms of Web3 initiative, either with us, with crypto exchanges, with other partners they have. So that's a really active brand in that space. And I hope we're going to do more. But you know, everything is about learning how to use the technology. The technology that we have today, objectively, is more or less the same that we had 6 years ago. Yet we are doing more today than 6 years ago. Why? Because we are trying to educate. We are learning how to work with clubs as well. It's difficult, I can tell you that. Right. And so we need to scale this.
What about you, Par? Do you think that many other organizations will follow the path that PSG and Chiliz are currently paving?
Well, like Alex said, we already began that journey, and we will continue now. And becoming a node validator on the chain,
to say,
right, is an example of that, where we were the first one having a PSG fan token and try to understand how to use that and engage that. And now, since you built the platform and we wanted to engage with the underlying infrastructure, and so this is one way to learn and to innovate together. And I think many clubs have started to do this in different ways. And I think the way we look at it is one part of innovation is inside. And that's been a part of the club. It's a part of our DNA. And one part is having innovation partners outside that we innovate together. And one way that we're going to do this moving forward is you have a platform, you have an ecosystem of integrated products and services and partners. And this is a great way for us to explore and to engage in faster, new ways that we couldn't do ourselves. We're a football club at the core, right? So,
right. You talked briefly about PSG being a validator for Chiliz. Can you tell us really briefly what that means?
Well, because Chiliz is a layer 1, it's an EVM layer 1, we wanted to have all or most of the validators, the node validators, so the blockchain governance, being controlled eventually, first being decentralized, but through the control of nodes being run by sports property. So PSG, and that's something we've done 6 months ago, I would say, but PSG is the first sports property ever to run a node or validator on a blockchain. And so now they are part of the governance. My dream, at least as a founder, is that in 10 years, 2 years, whatever, we'll have hundreds of sports property that will run validators, because then the blockchain will be fully decentralized towards the sports industry. And every participant, either as a fan who is a token holder or as a club who can become as well a node, is getting an economic exposure or potential value out of what is being created. And that's very interesting.
Right, right. Very exciting things happening for both PSG and for Chiliz. And speaking of, we're going to talk about your increasing presence here in Korea. I'm not going to say this. I'm going to let you say the two very important partnerships that you made happen in the past year. What were those?
So Chiliz has been present since 6 years plus in Korea. Actually, before COVID, I think I came 15 times in Seoul. So we always has been very present. But as a product, as a chain now, It's much more recent. So we've done two main deals, one that was announced last week, but I want to emphasize it a little bit more, and one that was announced 6 months ago. The first 6 months ago was K-League. So we are the official blockchain partner. Chiliz is the official blockchain partner of the K-League. And right now, every time that there is a match being played, every time there is a goal, so the ball enter into the cage or the goal cage, that ball is being certified, is being authenticated on the Chiliz blockchain, and then it's being given to the fans. That's something we are doing in the Serie A in Italy. Actually, right now, if you watch today, this weekend, a match of Serie A, so AC Milan, Juventus, Inter Milan, whatever, during the match, every time there is a goal, there is a QR code where as soon as you see the QR code after the goal, you can go and you're going to be able to win the real goal, like literally the real one, that's enter the cage and enter the score.
Right, so it's not NFTs.
It's not NFTs. We use
Very
NFT
fungible.
as a technology to certify the ball. So we put an NFC chip in the ball, but it's the real ball that you're going to
Get
get.
the physical rewards.
Yes.
Right.
And it's what we call a real-world asset nowadays. The most important deal we've done was a few days ago, and it took more than a year and a half, and I'm very proud to say that today. We made a deal with NeverPay. NeverPay, few days ago, launched a non-custodial wallet exclusively on the Chiliz chain. Today, if you go on your NPay application, you can go and create your wallet. It's free, obviously. And for every user that goes there and create their non-custodial wallet on the Chiliz chain, you have a chance to win tickets for Paris Saint-Germain, AC Milan, FC Barcelona. We are doing few campaigns in the next 2 to 3 months where you have 50 people that's going to be able to win a full package, flight, hotel, and the VIP experience at PSG, Milan, and Barcelona. And the reason we worked for the last year launching that with NeverPay is because, of course, there is 33 million users, 18 million a day. And the goal of NeverPay, at least from what I understood, is it's not to launch another crypto wallet. It was more about using blockchain and showing the utility. And as you know, in Korea, there is so many merchants that are using NeverPay. We hope eventually we're going to launch some loyalty scheme where one day, because I own a Paris Saint-Germain fan token in my NeverPay wallet, I'm going to be able to have a 10% discount in the Nike shop here in a mall. That's the kind of things we are working already with NeverPay, and that's what we started to launch last week. And I invite you to launch the app after this conversation in order to have a chance to win these tickets.
Right. And Par, I think this might be our last question, right? The landscape of sports and how people engage, the sports fan engage with the clubs and with the player is definitely clearly changing. So I'm just curious, when you first took on that role of head of Web3, what did you discuss with the club? I mean, what were some of the goals that the club had when it first approached you? And more importantly, how did it align with your personal visions?
Well, there were many things. I think what attracted me initially is PSG is such an iconic football club, but it's also a lifestyle brand. And I think that journey is everybody in sports is trying to make that transformation into a lifestyle. And one of the things that they wanted, and I believe in personally, is they want to find new ways to engage their existing fan base, but also engage building new fan bases globally because of the transformation of being the largest entity, player, and brand in France in sports. They become one of the biggest one globally. And doing this in a new way with new fans being the club of the new generation, this is in many ways the navigational role that
paving sort of
yeah.
the road.
So it wasn't where we had all these questions and answers fixed. It was more about engaging with Alex and the innovation partners that we have, and we want to bring on board so as to both sit in the front seat figuring this together out, because nobody has really done this. Everybody talks about the next billion on chain. We have a couple of 100 million in our social channels with the reach with the players. We talk about a couple of 100 million more, right? And so we want to figure out almost like the natural resource, the last natural resource of a club, how to engage that digitally.
Right.
And this is the only way really to do that at scale, right?
Right. Okay, so I mean, Chiliz is the strategic partner for PSG and sort of enabling all of that to happen, right, on your blockchain and FLAN tokens. So that's very exciting. So to wrap things up, how can other new companies and new organizations reach out to you and maybe, you know, form new collaborations that are exciting for the fans?
I think here, especially in Korea, you're gonna see us more and more in the sports space. As I said, we started with K-League. We're already working with Neverpay, so kind of you cannot get bigger than that at that point. Yet we gonna work more and more in the entertainment space because there is a big crossover between sports and entertainment. We think there is a lot to do there between Korea and the rest of the world as well. So if you have any ideas how you want to work with us, please feel free to reach out to us. We have a big booth here as well, and we'll be happy to proceed.
Right, I think we should end on that note because we ran out of time. The Chiliz booth is, where is it?
Somewhere there.
Somewhere there. Come find us. It's very, very prominent and very noticeable. Okay, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Alex. Thank you,
Thanks again.
Par.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thanks, guys.